คำนี้ดีฟีเจอริงกลับมาอีกครั้งหนึ่งพร้อมกับแขกรับเชิญที่เริ่มคุ้นหน้าคุ้นเสียงกันแล้วนะครับดร.วิทย์ สิทธิเวคินสวัสดีครับ
สวัสดีครับวิกสวัสดีและสวัสดีปีใหม่นะครับ
สวัสดีปีใหม่เช่นเดียวกันครับ
Happy New Year
Thank you you too วันนี้จริงๆแล้วเนี่ยจะเป็นวันที่เราคุยกันสบายๆผมไม่มีสคริปต์เลยผมมีแค่คำเดียว It was a word that came up when we last talked last year which is self-actualization. It's such a big word and it's such an important word I think and well according to my research this is the Maslow thing that we were talking about right so this is like on the top of the pyramid of the Maslow and it's something that is not achieved by everyone เหมือนกับเป็นสิ่งที่ทำสำเร็จได้ยาก self-actualization so when we were talking about this word itself self-actualization do you think it's important for each and every one of us to find that out like the answer to the burning question what are we supposed to do in life
Everyone should know because if you know your true self what are you good at what were you born specifically for that will be additional benefit to your life because at least you can design your own life in accordance with your true nature if you don't know that it might be pretty difficult because you might have that big questions mark in your mind at all time well am I doing what I can do best but that's for me it's a real waste of time so don't spend a lot of time finding what is your true self spend your time live your life and finally you can accidentally find your true nature
that is so interesting in accidentally find something it sounds really good you don't have to put in like a lot of effort into doing something you don't even have to set goal you just live your life and then by accident you can find yourself does that happen to you
that really happened to me okay
really?
Let me tell you the story like every one of us when we were young we think well I dream of becoming this particular profession for example I'm fancied always by those who are in uniforms I want to be military officer
oh really
I want to be a medical doctor I want to be a musician I want to be a pianist I want to be a violinist
okay
like every one of us but finally is that the right fit for you for example for me myself I once dreamed of becoming a military officer but finally I can't be one okay because my parents are immigrants from China so I was disqualified
so
which
technically
is
you can't be
I can't be
military officer
I can't apply into the military cadet college which is okay I totally understand that
really so it's very easy for you to accept that
I just think that well be it so I find another route yeah?
Okay.
I want to be a football player
okay
one among the very first Thai person who played in the European League finally physically I'm not as strong as professional athlete so it is a no-go for me
another dream crushed
no and afterwards I think well I want to be a civil servant in the government sector I apply to study in the faculty of political science and want to work in the local administration departments or กรมการปกครอง very lucky that was my dream okay that was my dream luckily in the third year in the junior year the university sent all of us to different provinces at least to observe what the civil servants are doing their duty and I find out that the imagination that I have towards those jobs are totally opposite to what I had initially in mind
what did you have in mind before
decision maker we can design the policy for those particular areas but finally when you are a junior officer you are simply minor mechanics in those provinces I don't feel offended but finally we have certain imagination but reality is totally different I'm not saying it is opposite but it's totally different it is not as challenging as I thought it is not as enjoyable as I had an impression from feature films so at that time when I was about 20 I think well what I want to do I was just like many of you who is now watching our conversation here well I'm in the middle of intersection should I go forward should I go right? Should I go left? I don't know. Like every one of us. And finally, I end up to be, management in automotive company.
How did that happen?
Accident.
Okay, really?
Accident.
So it's not even going straight or turning left, turning right?
Nope.
How did it happen?
Okay. After my graduation, I studied in England, and I still didn't know what kind of job should I go.
So at that point that you were studying something abroad,
I studied
you
political
still didn't
science
know.
still,
Okay.
and I still did not know. And I only know that you simply prepare yourself. When you go back, you might be able to find a job. A job means any job. I don't know.
Okay.
Until economic collapse in the year 1998, and I think, I want to join a multinational company. I want to know how people in developed market worked in that environment in multinational companies. I just only had that dream, and that's it. When I came back, economic collapse. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So you chose that company simply because you want to learn.
I simply want to learn, but before that, I came back to Thailand with no working experience. So what shall I do? I simply sent applications to 70 different companies, and finally, I was invited for an interview for 3 of them.
3 out of 70.
3 out of 70.
Wow.
And I end up working as a journalist in Nation Multimedia Group.
Okay.
I don't have any background in
Journalism
press,
or
journalism, or media, or anything. But that was the only chance that I can grasp.
Okay.
So that was accident. Okay. And I feel pretty bad about my ability because I can't find any job that I think that suit my caliber.
what was the position that you got?
First of all, journalist, but to be promoted to be a young news anchor.
Oh, okay.
But don't get me wrong. At that time, news anchor is not as well respected as it is today.
Okay.
So it doesn't look like a fancy job at all. And I talked to a friend of mine, he's older than me. He said, with whichever job, just do it. And I keep complaining for a couple of weeks before the first day at my first workplace in my life. And I went there and I still complained. Well, I should end up in a much better place. But after a couple of days, accidentally, with my attitude open, because that's the only job that I can do. Okay. I got accepted only one workplace. So I said, I'm surrounded by new challenges, the world that I have never seen before. So why don't I start learning something substantial from the only job that I can secure? This is what I would think. I never dream of becoming a journalist. I never dream of becoming a news anchor. I never dream of getting that, relatively small amount of salary. But that was the only choice that I need to do. So I opened my attitude. And I think, just let's open my mind and go for it. Let's learn anything as much as I can. It could be my asset in the future. I only think that. So I end up with my first job accidentally. And I still work in this field until today.
Yeah. That's
Imagine
amazing.
if at that time I have different attitude and I said, I try to discover my true self. This might not be the job that I like. Do you think that I can work in that job? I might be able to survive, but I might not enjoy the work. And many people surrounding me would see that attitude in me. Luckily, by that time, I told myself, hypnotize yourself with. Pretend as if you liked that job.
Wow.
For a month. Luckily. So I worked in that before I applied, before I'm approached by a car company. And I worked with that company for quite some times.
So from what I heard from your story, being true to yourself or having great passion or trying to find your true north or whatever, it might sound great, it might sound beautiful
It's
or
ideal.
idealistic, right?
It's ideal, yes.
But it could be a huge trap as well.
Yes. Because finally, you imprison yourself, you imprison your mind in something very theoretical, something philosophical. Because finally, if you discover, hey, my true self is 1, 2, 3, 4. Who can prove that that is the right fit? You judge by your own self, especially if you are pretty young, For example, if you are early 20, if you are early 30, you might judge that with your own bias. I mean, no one can tell whether or not that is your true self, whether or not that is the right fit. Many people in this world, if you could see, they might think that they are destined to become something, but finally, when they got into that occupation, they fail or they don't enjoy. Many people. For example, some of them, they study engineering, but finally they might end up become management in financial world, for example. Some of them graduate in a medical doctor, but finally they might end up something else. So sometimes we imprison ourselves with our own perception that you judge by your own self. That could be. So why don't you think like this? One life, live it. This is what I would think. You design your own destination by starting with your own mind and managing your attitude first. How would I do in case that I still can't find my true nature and what is the right fit for me? Instead of spending time thinking about the ideal answer for that.
ผมเชื่อว่ามีหลายๆคนอยู่ในสถานการณ์นี้ตอนนี้อยู่เพราะว่าอาจจะมีคนฟังอยู่แล้วคิดว่าใช่ตอนนี้เราไม่ได้อยู่ในที่ของเราเลย This is like the shittiest job that I could get but this is the only thing that I could get like yourself ตอนนั้นคือเป็นงานเดียวที่เฮวิตได้มา
เป็นงานเดียวครับ
แต่ว่าเราก็ไม่ได้ okay you used to complain about it a lot but at one point you kind of realize that complaining doesn't do you any good
For myself first I need to by the time I force myself hey ทำใจรักมันหน่อย
hypnotize yourself อย่างที่
I hypnotize myself
สะกดจิตตัวเองไปเลย
สะกดจิตไปเลยครับว่า probably I like it that's the only thing that you have in your hand and the other thing a colleague of mine in production department he said to me hey Wit you're so lucky how come I'm lucky you can work with the editing machine that costs 2 million bahts for me I didn't know that is the newest version and that costs 2 million bahts but once I hear him talking about this machine I think well I'm lucky why don't I spend time and learning a lot from that experience instead of sit and complain and try to find the ideal answer who I truly am which is for me it is not practical at all so this is what I think
ผมชอบที่เฮวิตยกตัวอย่างสิ่งนี้มากๆเลยคือมันก็เหมือนกับสิ่งที่เราเคยได้ยินนะว่าบอกว่า appreciate what you have instead of bitching about what you don't have ดูก่อนว่าเรามีอะไรแล้วเราใช้อะไรจากมันได้บ้าง
You need to maximize your own experience as well I tell you a story a story of Italian gentleman whose first name is Guccio Guccio is a middle class person who were born in Tuscany in the middle of Italy and he enjoyed travel so much and then he traveled to London when he went there he worked in a hotel a famous hotel called Ritz-Carlton a waiter a doorman and a steward in elevator imagine his job was to sir welcome you to London to Ritz-Carlton and then which floors would you like to go okay he opened the lift and the elevator and he operates the elevator and he talks to the guests that's it and finally he said hey in my experience imagine if you were a steward in an elevator would you enjoy it will you enjoy it it's boring and redundant and you see people who always look down at you if they are bad okay
right
this gentleman Guccio he noticed the style the dress and the bags that the guests in Ritz-Carlton were carrying and were wearing he came back to Italy he turned his house into a small leather shop and finally he developed a brand which is called Gucci
okay wow
Imagine the starting point was a person who worked in something totally redundant and boring. Operator in an elevator, greeting guests. Which floor, sir? 15th floor. You're welcome, sir. Shall I carry your bag? But finally, he has an eye for some things and he has a certain attitude. I want to learn something. Imagine if you were working in something in which you totally don't like. Instead of complaining about your destiny and your fortune, change the attitude. This is what I would advise. Hey, what shall I learn from something that I don't like? There must always be something in it.
It's the way you look at life. It's the way you look at your situation and the way you look at opportunities and just treat it as a gift or something that hasn't happened yet, but it could do you some good one day. Right?
I think so. I've got one good quotation in which I've just learned from Dr. Santitan, who is a very good friend of mine. He's a very knowledgeable person. And he explained the word luck. Can be translated very simply in Thai. Cho. He said, well, luck means a combination of two things. Opportunity and preparation together. Sometimes opportunity knocks at your door, but you are not prepared for that opportunity. It might be that you fail to grasp the opportunity right in front of you. And sometimes you have preparation. Opportunity doesn't knock on you. You can't proceed your life further. So you need two things. If you always expect luck and opportunity without preparing yourself, finally, even luck is right in front of you, you fail to grasp it. And for me, when opportunity doesn't knock, I simply tell myself, prepare yourself in whichever direction which is in front of you. Something you might hate, something you might not like, but I force myself all the time. Please think that you like it and try to identify some precious lessons which is hidden in that experience.
ผมได้นิยามใหม่ของการมันอาจจะฟังดูเหมือนกันไม่ซื่อสัตย์ต่อตัวเองเนาะถ้าเกิดหลายๆคนจะตีความไปว่าทำไมเราต้องหลอกตัวเองว่าเราชอบงานนี้ทำไมเราต้องไม่ซื่อสัตย์ต่อตัวเอง Why don't you just leave and find the opportunities find your true self elsewhere but if that is not happening to your life at the moment maybe it is safer and it is wiser to just stay and stick to whatever that you have or wherever that you are at the moment and just make the best out of whatever you have
Yes
right
why not
เพราะหลายๆคนจะมีกับดักนี้จริงๆว่าไม่ได้สิเราต้องซื่อสัตย์ต่อตัวเองเราจะหลอกตัวเองต่อไปไม่ได้แต่ว่ามันอาจจะไม่ใช่การหลอกตัวเองก็ได้นะครับจากที่ผมฟังจากพีวิทย์เนี่ยมันเป็นการสะกดจิตตัวเองผมชอบคำนี้นะเนี่ยเป็นการสะกดจิตตัวเองให้ลองชอบสิ่งนี้แล้วทำเต็มที่กับมันสักหน่อยสิ and see what happens mind management sounds a lot better
นะผม
It's no voodoo now
คือพอดีว่าโชคดีนะฮะพอดีว่ามีเพื่อนอยู่ท่านหนึ่งเนี่ยเป็นคนที่เขาสอนลูกได้ดีมากเลยกลายเป็นว่าเหมือนสอนผมไปด้วยนะฮะบอกว่าลูกในชีวิตของมนุษย์เราเนี่ยเราต้องทำสิ่งที่ยากอยู่2อย่างอย่างที่1เราจะต้องทำในสิ่งที่เราไม่อยากและเราไม่ชอบทำอีกอย่างหนึ่งคือเราจะต้องไม่ทำบางอย่างในสิ่งที่เราอยากจะทำมากๆและชอบที่จะทำ Life is all about this two things you need to prepare your own mind first to force yourself to do something in which you hate or you don't like and second thing you need to prepare your mind and shape your mind to refrain what you might want to do but you can't do it So these are two things. Mind management is important because we can't design our life 100%. We are limited and we are constrained by several conditions.
And you don't know what life would be throwing at you.
Yes.
Right? อันนี้เป็นคอนเซปต์ที่น่าสนใจมากเพราะหลายๆคนเนี่ยจะคิดตรงข้ามกันเลยอะไรที่เราอยากทำเราต้องทำให้ได้อะไรที่เราไม่อยากทำอย่าไปทำมันสักนิดเดียว Now you're saying the opposite basically that you maybe have to do the opposite
I might be wrong but at least this is my opinions and I think sometimes you are not the master of your own life no one can be for example if I want to pee right now immediately can I do it you can't do it okay you can't do it you need to go to the loo
okay
likewise we are constrained we are limited anyway our condition is limited anyway but sometimes we don't apply it in some other situation but this is what I would think mind management and openness and optimism towards everything right in front of you even though it might not look fancy it might not look like it is yours but if you adjust your mentality you might find something in it
ผมแอบคิดว่าหลายๆครั้งเนี่ยสิ่งเหล่านี้มันจะเกิดขึ้นเพราะเราเห็นคนที่เขาทำแล้วมันเท่เช่นเราเห็นคนที่แบบไม่ยอมทำในสิ่งที่เขาไม่ชอบแล้วเขาก็ออกมาสร้างอะไรสักอย่างหนึ่งแล้วเขาก็สำเร็จbut that's not always the case for every single person on this planet right
True
so it's like the reverse telling the success story because the success has already happened to him and then he just trace it back and tell you what has happened but that is not the formula that would guarantee that if you like follow his step exactly that would happen to you too there's no guarantee เพราะฉะนั้นทุกสิ่งทุกอย่างที่คุณเห็นว่ามันเป็นสิ่งที่คนอื่นเขาทำแล้วเท่และสำเร็จแล้วมันอาจจะไม่ใช่สิ่งที่มันจะเกิดขึ้นกับคุณก็ได้ you have to find your own way
yes
right
correct and I tell you another story sometimes you imprison or you limit yourself with your own imagination I tell you another story from another Italian gentleman he thought when he was young that I want to be a medical doctor he applied to be a medical doctor student in the university and afterwards when he served the army in Italian ground force army he think well doctor is not my things then he quit the university from medical doctor and he went to work to be department store window dresser this is real change from medical doctor into window dresser
เป็นคนที่แต่ง
หน้าร้าน
โชว์หน้าร้านครับ
and finally he worked in something that was unthinkable for him in fashion purchasing department in procurement that's where he learned something new he didn't learn anything about that before fabrics price bargaining and tailor and finally he opened his own tailor shop which is called Armani
oh god
so life is not a unilinear line you start with your own passion and then you achieve one hurdles and then you move up unilinear life is not as simple as that Giorgio Armani discovered himself after he studied in medical school before and he discovered himself in military camps imagine wherever you are it depends on you yourself and your attitude how will you reflect yourself in order to actualize your own self
หลายๆคนอาจจะมีความรู้สึกว่าโอ้โหพอพูดคำว่า self actualization มันฟังดูเป็นสิ่งที่ยากมันต้องบอกว่าบรรลุตรัสรู้ถึงตัวตนของคุณแต่ถ้าสมมติเกิดคุณนั่งแล้วพยายามคิดออกมาว่ามันควรจะเป็นยังไงมันไม่เกิดหรอก
โอ้โหบิ๊กพูดได้ดีมากครับ
you have to go out and to live your life like you said you have to this is your โจทย์คิดซะว่ามันเป็นโจทย์หลายๆคนอาจจะมีความรู้สึกว่า this is so unfortunate for me I'm so unlucky to get this bad job this is so sucky and life is not fair to me at all maybe life is trying to test you or ให้โจทย์คุณบางอย่างอยู่ก็ได้นะ
yes
and it depends on you it's up to you totally whether or not you can figure out or
I like your word live your life ใช้ชีวิตครับขอแนะนำอีกอย่างนะฮะคือจริงๆผมไม่ใช่คนเก่งมากมายนะแต่คิดว่ามาแบ่งปันกันแต่ก่อนเรียนภาษาอังกฤษครับเจอคำว่า twofold แม่งแปลว่าอะไรวะผมไม่รู้จริงๆนะเฮ้ยthe answer to these questions is twofold threefold what does it mean oh that's
สอ
mean
งพับนี่ใช่ไหมฮะ
yes สองพับนี่นะฮะก็คือในชีวิตครับถ้าน้องๆคิดแบบนี้ว่าเรามีหนทางหน้าหนึ่งเราต้องการที่จะหาตัวเองให้เจอนี่สมการหนึ่งนะฮะหาตัวเองให้เจอ and then you go for it and second you simply live your life and you hypnotize your mind and then you learn and then you learn along the way you live your life it seems that there are two ways why don't you do it twofold อย่างแรกระหว่างที่ทำงานที่ไม่ชอบนะครับ you do your best you try to learn a great deal from the job that you are doing in good and in bad things but at the same time simultaneously you spend some times in a day thinking about hey what I truly am and what should be my next destination, how should I design my life, and then these two things you simply think interactively that could benefit yourself, because first you can maximize the way you live your life at that particular moment, but at the same time you have your own future in your sight as well. Why don't you do it? And if you interact these two pieces of wisdoms together, you might achieve and actualize yourself without you knowing it. But finally, you find your new true self that you have never discovered before. Thinking theoretically will not give any practical result. This is what I find. เมื่อสักครู่เราพูดถึงคำว่า preparation การเตรียมความพร้อมซึ่งเป็นหนึ่งในองค์ประกอบของคำว่าโชคนะครับระหว่างที่เราทำงานครับบางคนก็แสดงออกซึ่งความอึดอัดซึ่งก็เข้าใจนะครับ you might not feel comfortable in the job that you are doing you might not like your boss you might not like those who work with you or your colleagues but finally that's part of preparation if you deal with that with appropriate attitude that could happen
ผมชอบสิ่งที่ฮีวิตพูดมากๆตรงที่ว่าอะไรก็ตามที่มันกำลังเป็นสิ่งห่วยๆในชีวิตคุณตอนนี้ well every single bad things that is happening to you right now in your life think of those things as a part of the preparation for the better things tomorrow นี่คือวิธีคิดที่ผมว่า healthy และไม่โลกสวยเกินไป and you can actually use this อย่าไปคิดว่าทำไมเราโดนรังแกจากชีวิตขนาดนี้ทำไมไม่แฟร์เลยทุกอย่างมันเป็นหนึ่งในขั้นตอนของการเตรียมคุณให้พร้อม
yes
สำหรับอะไรดีๆที่กำลังจะมาถึงในวันนั้นวันข้างหน้า
โอ้โหบิ๊กแล้วอันนี้มันใช่นะครับขอเล่าเรื่องตอนที่ทำงานอยู่ที่บริษัทฝรั่งนะฮะเราเป็นผู้บริหารคนไทยแวดล้อมไปด้วยฝรั่งก็มีหลากหลายอุปนิสัยนะครับแล้วก็มีบางคนก็ aggressive มากนะ some of the colleagues they were very very aggressive and I can't stand that pressure I can't stand those aggressions and finally I complained that to my boss who is pretty kind he said to me hey Wit this is a good exercise for you in the future you can't avoid these kind of people we have 5 in the management team you experience 5 different kinds of people at least at the age of 29 you have immunity against those 4 kinds of people this is your asset that's right in the future you will repeatedly see those kind of people those who are hypocrite those who treat you badly those who are aggressive and those who are kind to you so finally the world is like this you will repeatedly and you can't avoid this kind of people unless you design your own planet which is impossible anyway so attitude learning even the most unpleasant person in the world you can learn something you can learn always something how to deal with that are there any ways that I can sneak out but at the same time can work with him or her effectively experience help
คิดซะว่ามันเป็นเวิร์กช็อปขนาดยาวในโลกแห่งความเป็นจริงเพราะว่าตอนนี้ทุกคนเนี่ยกำลังมีความรู้สึกว่าแบบเฮ้ยเราอยากจะไปเรียนรู้up skill re skill นะครับโดยการบอกว่าไป take workshop จ่ายแพงๆงานที่คุณทำอยู่นั่นแหละแม่งคือเวิร์กช็อปในชีวิตจริงของคุณเลยถ้าสมมุติเกิดคิดอย่างที่ฮีวิตบอกผมรู้สึกว่าอะไรก็เป็นโอกาสในการเรียนรู้ได้หมดเลยต่อให้เป็นคนที่เลวร้ายกับเราที่สุดเป็นคนที่แย่กับเราที่สุดเขาจะช่วยเราเตรียมตัวเพราะยังไงก็ตามผมชอบที่ฮีวิตพูดมากว่ายังไงชีวิตเราก็ต้องเจอคนแบบนี้อยู่แล้วโดยเลี่ยงไม่ได้ครับแล้วก็ฝากเรื่องคือพอดีว่าตอนนี้เนี่ยผมสอนหนังสือนะวิชาประวัติศาสตร์ให้กับเด็กๆนะฮะเป็นสอนภาษาอังกฤษนะระดับ GCSEแล้วก็บอกตัวเองตลอดเวลาเลยว่าสมมุติว่าเราไม่ชอบครูบางท่านวิธีการสอนวิธีการเฉลยข้อสอบก็ดีตอนนั้นเราอาจจะไม่ชอบครับแต่ต้องคิด don't do like them find a better version improve yourself to be a good teacher ครูที่เราไม่ชอบกลายมาเป็น contribution ให้กับเรานะครับเช่นการให้คะแนนบางทีเราเคยเจอไหมครับ I was treated unfairly I think that I made a good piece of homework but finally I get a very low score it seems like the teacher didn't have enough time to spend time reading my work carefully เป็นไปได้ครับเพราะฉะนั้นสิ่งที่ต้องทำครับอย่าทำส่งเดชอย่าทำแบบเขา
even those whom you think they are unpleasant they give contribution to your own improvement as well
ผมเพิ่งเห็นใน Twitter หรือว่าเพจของคุณลูกกอล์ฟไม่นานมานี้ขอพาดพิงนิดหนึ่งนะครับคุณลูกกอล์ฟครับคิดถึงนะครับแวะมาเยี่ยมคำนี้ดีบ้างคุณลูกกอล์ฟพูดถึงคำขวัญของวันเด็กในปีนี้ว่าถ้าสมมติเกิดจะให้เนี่ยอยากจะบอกว่าเด็กๆทุกคนอย่าโตขึ้นไปเป็นอย่างผู้ใหญ่ที่เราเคยเกลียด so don't grow up to be an adult the kind of adult that you used to hate when you were younger
yes
this is exactly on the spot and this is exactly like you have just said you can learn from what you don't like and don't do like them don't grow up to be the same kind of people
มันเป็นแบบนั้นเพราะฉะนั้นต้องคิดนะครับว่าคนรอบตัวที่เราเจอไม่ว่าจะเป็นอย่างไรเขาเป็น object ให้เราศึกษาได้ทุกคนนะครับ
just take the comfort in knowing that if you don't know what you're supposed to do in life at this moment or you don't know your passion you don't have clear goals or you don't know where your true north is it's okay maybe you're just not there yet but it doesn't mean that you will never get there
yes ผมมั่นใจว่าทุกคนมีศักยภาพอยู่แล้วนะแค่ว่าบางครั้งอาจจะเจออุบัติเหตุระหว่างชีวิตทำให้เราไม่สามารถที่จะมี attitude ที่บวกได้แต่ที่สุดแล้ว attitude คืออะไรที่อยู่ในมือเราตลอดนะครับผมชอบว่าล่าสุดผมได้เจอท่านทูตเยอรมันนะครับท่านดร.เกอร์กชมิดท่านพูดอยู่คำหนึ่งครับท่านพูดภาษาเยอรมันใช้คำว่า niemand ist machtlos no one is powerless that means everyone have got the power to change our life by our hands but many people underestimate it and managing our mind to cope with unpleasant incidents to cope with something pleasant in your life this is what you yourself alone can do no one else can help you